Good evening. Welcome to Expat Insights. I'm your host Raju Mandhan. Here at Expat Insights, we take external views of internal successes by foreigners and expats who have made Philippines their home. Sometimes we break the rule and we invite Filipinos who walk through the beat of a different drummer. Today, I have a very special guest who's an actor, stage and movie. He's also a playwright and has been in the acting business for more than 20 years. The son of Noel Trinidad, my friend and guest today, Noel Trinidad.
Thanks for having me. Hi.
Welcome to Expat Insights.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Joel, today you and I are going to talk about improv and how we can use the art, the discipline of improvisation to innovate and lead in business.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
that's the theme.
Yeah.
We don't have a little bar that gives us a theme, so that's our theme.
Okay.
So, Joel, start by telling us about your background a bit.
I've been an actor since 1989. I just sort of jumped into it because, you know, everybody I think does the whole school play thing. I just happen to like it more than most, and I just stuck to it. Right after college, joined, actually last year of college, joined my first professional play and just kept going.
How about your past, the fact that your dad was an actor?
Oh, well, yeah, he actually never really, he discouraged me from being an actor. He said, you know, of course, do whatever you want. I'll support you 100%, but this is not a very good life. You know,
he said so.
Yeah, he said this
so.
is, you should do something else, but if you really want to do it, go ahead and do it. So, and I grew up watching him on stage, and it looked like fun. So I said, okay, let me try it. And of course, since I had made that decision, he was very supportive. But he always, until now, he says, this is not a very, very good life. I would not recommend this life.
It is
but
a
here
scary
I am.
life.
Yeah,
it's
but
a scary life.
You know, I'm here now and I love it. It's, I wouldn't have it any other way.
How many years did he, if you don't mind, we'll just talk about him a bit. How many years did he spend in the acting business, and what was his life like for him to tell you that? Yeah,
well, as I understand it, he has been acting since, I don't know, since school, same as me. He joined the advertising world when he graduated from college, and he was in advertising for a long time. And then he quit advertising to do theater full-time, which is exactly what happened to me. And in fact, I didn't know this until I had resigned from my advertising job. Yeah. He was working in the same building where I was working. And when he resigned from advertising to pursue theater, he was working in this building, and I was working in that same building. When I resigned,
company, not the same company,
but I resigned. When I resigned, I was working in that same building to pursue theater full time. It was a big coincidence. I didn't even know.
What advertising company was this?
For me, it was called Lintas then. It's called Low now. I think it's called Low now. It went through something like 5 name changes in the 9 years I was there.
Lintas was so famous from where I come from, actually.
Well, it is a worldwide company. But that was in '99 when I resigned.
And him, what company did you have in
He was a part of several companies, Ace Compton, which became Ace Saatchi & Saatchi. He put up his own advertising agency, which was called Link Advertising, he and a few friends. So those are the ones that I remember. He probably worked in other ad agencies as well.
Is he still active in acting?
Yes, he's semi-retired. If you ask him, he'll tell you he's semi-retired. But he does do teleseries occasionally. And once in a while he'll do a movie, but it's really just for fun. What he does now basically is he and my mom travel the world spending my inheritance.
Your inheritance. That's okay. That's all right.
It's fine. They deserve it. I'm just joking. But yeah, they travel. They travel all the time. They just moved to a new house in Cavite. And they're the coolest old couple you'll ever find. Like a few years ago, they went to Spain and just for a vacation, but they spent a few months taking Spanish lessons. This is the kind of couple these guys are. They're really cool.
Was your mom into acting? Or
no, my mom she has businesses. Well, she's acted a little bit, but always reluctantly, always against her will. Like if they need an extra, and maybe they were shooting this thing in our house, and she was there, and she's not very good at it. But her talents lie elsewhere.
Give me a little background on when you moved from an ordinary life, you know, advertising to acting. Usually they claim that moving into the acting profession and succeeding with it is really challenging. It's one of the most toughest things, and most people have these stories of horror about how they moved from one profession to another. So did you have anything like that?
I guess I was lucky because, of course, it was always a challenge. But even when I started advertising, I was always doing theater. I was doing, of course, I had a full-time job, so I was only able to do maybe 1 or 2 plays a year. But they were, I worked for smaller theater companies, so they were more flexible in their schedule. So I'd work, and then
Part-time.
after work I'd rehearse from 8 to 11 at night, and so it was one of those things.
You
And
still had to keep your day job.
yes, and then
So
after 9 years of that, I was able to like
give up the day
give
job.
up the day job. Yeah.
How are you doing today, from your own perspective, as an actor? You think how fulfilled are you?
I love what I do, but like any artist, there's always the desire to do more.
There's this hunger.
Yes, I wanna. I am very, very grateful for where I am now, but
Yeah.
it could always be more. I want a bigger pond.
Yeah. You want to be a bigger fish in a bigger pond.
Well, I would be happy being a small fish in a big pond, because it's the pond that
It's not the
I
size
look
of
for.
yourself.
Yeah. So, but you know, I'd like to do other stuff. I'll expand. I'm doing a lot more writing now. I'm doing a lot of directing.
Yeah.
So, before, like maybe 5, 10 years ago, you ask me what I do, I'll tell you I'm an actor, and that's all I wanted to do, and
Yeah.
I still love that.
Yeah.
But I now love writing
Yeah.
and directing equally, and I never expected that. I thought I would be an actor for the rest of my life. Now I'm all three.
Talking about bigger ponds, I think people in all professions, people, especially in the art professions of art, they're always looking for something bigger. They
Yes.
want more achievement, more fulfillment. No? Have you ever had glimpses of this pond that lies in your heart, in your mind?
Yeah. My wife is from New York.
You're right.
She's a theater performer from New York. So her friends are all from there.
Yeah.
So when I would go there to visit her before we were together, I'd get glimpses of it. Like she'd know people who were on Broadway and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I once, because I left my sunglasses in the theater, I had to go back to this. I went to see Guys and Dolls, and I left my sunglasses in the theater, and I had to go to the stage door and say I left my sunglasses. And the guy said, okay, I'll come in. And I was on stage, and I saw backstage.
On Broadway.
Yeah, Broadway.
Yeah.
He took me around and was like, wow. You know,
Man,
but
high
so
tech.
little glimpses. I did an off-Broadway show 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a huge thrill. We did like 7 shows. It was off-Broadway, La Mama Theater.
Yeah.
So just little glimpses. The holy grail would be like a show that I wrote that I was also starring in on Broadway.
Well, the way you're going, the way you work at your profession, I think that shouldn't be very far.
I hope you're right.
So 100 theaters in New York, and you went up on stage on La Mama.
Yeah, La
which is
Mama.
somewhere,
It's an
yeah.
some kind of legendary off-Broadway theater.
How many plays have you done? How many plays have you acted in? And how many plays have you written so far? Globally, not just Philippines, but...
I've acted in maybe 35, 40 plays. If you can count, because I write a lot of short plays,
Right.
like 10-minuters. If you count those, I've written maybe 20. Yeah, but the full-length ones maybe 5, 6. Yeah.
And which one is your tops? The ones that you're really proud of and
I
you'd like to
I
talk
particularly
about?
like Breakups and Breakdowns, which you just did.
Which is just on...
It was February this year.
Yeah.
That was my first musical that I wrote with Ronnie Fortich, who's now the Hong Kong Disneyland musical director. That's a full-length romantic musical comedy. I'm very proud of that. There's another play that I'm proud of called Fairy Tale Rescue, which is for children.
All right, all right.
It's about a narrator who decides to rescue the characters in the play, because he's like he's reading Three Little
the guy
Pigs.
behind the scene comes
Yeah,
in.
he's like he reads Three Little Pigs, and he gets a crisis of conscience, and he says, every time I read this story, there are pigs in danger. Pigs in danger, so I have to rescue these pigs. So that's I'm converting it into a musical now, and that's going to be for later this year.
Joel, we need to take a break
Sure.
now. We need to take a break now, but right after the break, I'd like to talk to you about improvisation and how you can relate it to business, because you're also a businessman nowadays
Absolutely.
with Upstart Productions.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are with Joel Trinidad. Stay with us, and we'll be right back after the break. All right, welcome back to Expat in Science. I'm your host, Raju, and we are still with Joel Trinidad, the stage actor, the playwright, and now a businessman. And he's going to talk to us about the school, the discipline, the art of improv. It's not improve, it's improv, and the full form is improvisation.
Yes.
So, Joel, you want to tell us what that is and how do you relate it to acting and business?
Improvisation in the realm of performance is performing without a script. It's just making stuff up as you go along.
Extempore.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So there's a whole school of acting that is like that, and within improvisation there is a subgroup called Improv Comedy.
Right.
And that's what I do with my group, Spit, Silly People's Improv Theater.
Spit, yeah, I love
Yes.
that. I really enjoy that. So one of the subgroups is comedy, the
Yes.
other's acting,
Well,
music, dance.
Yeah, well, improv can be applied to any art, any performance art.
Yeah.
But so one of those, the thing that I do most in terms of improv is the comedy. Although, of course, you know, you do have to improvise in
On
other
stage.
aspects. Yes, of course.
So if it's a serious drama, it's a tragedy, do you still need to improvise?
Yes, in the sense that if you're doing live theater, factors are always changing around you.
Yeah.
The audience might react a different way to the same show, same scene. So in a sense, you have to improvise, because if I come in and I say this line and I'm getting a different reaction, I have to change my pace maybe. If my co-actor forgets his line, or if I forget my line, we're constantly adjusting.
Yeah.
That's where improv comes in regular scripted acting.
So what are if there are any principles or rules of improv, what might they be?
There are several rules, like, you know, active listening and
Active listening?
listening, spontaneity, teamwork, etc. But the main rule of improv, the only rule you need to do improv really, is called yes and. That's yes, comma, and, ellipse. So yes, comma, and, dot, dot, dot.
So it's always adding on instead of yes, but.
Yes.
You go yes and.
Yes and is, simply put, is a way of accepting something and adding to it, always. You never reject anything. You always accept. So if you're doing a scene, for example, an improv scene, you have nothing. You don't have a script. You don't have lines. You have nothing. You have no costumes. And you start a scene with a person, and the person comes in and says, "Doc, my back hurts." You have to yes and that by saying, "Oh, okay, come, please sit down." Suddenly, I'm a doctor, because I have to yes and the offer that, "Doc, my back hurts." So I have to accept, number one, that I'm a doctor. Number two, that this guy's my patient. Number three, that his back hurts. And you proceed. And then when you say, "Oh, yes," let's say he comes in and says, "Doc, my back hurts." I'll say, "Please, come in, sit down. You know, you have a knife stuck in your back." Then he'll have to accept that. He'll have to say, "Yes, it was somebody stabbed me last night." And that way, the scene just keeps going. The instant you say no, "What, there's no knife in my back," the whole scene just stops.
It just collapses. It just collapses. As a trainer, as a trainer speaker, of course, I've been exposed to this arena of improvising, of making things better, no? And my understanding is that it comes from it was born, or at least it was promoted by the Chicago Second City. Second City, no?
Yes.
Yet, for my audience, the example that you cited, saying that if somebody comes with a aching back, and you agree and accept and build onto it, what is the science behind that? What helps? I mean, yes, it builds on, but really, big picture, what are the benefits of that?
Well, the benefits are you accept. If you're always accepting, then you can build together. If I'm making up this world on my own, then I'm on my own. But if we're both doing it, then for us, it's easier, because we're adding onto this reality. Little by little, adding on to this reality, it becomes more real to us. And the more real it is to us, the more real it is for the audience.
So it's synergistic.
Absolutely,
and yet
that's a good word for it.
Constructive. So how do you go about it? Any little tricks or gimmicks, or how do you build me into improv? How do you draw me into improv?
Anybody can do it. It's just an attitude. It's just accept and agree and accept. Accept and add. That's all. So we could do it now. If I told you. If I said, just keep in mind yes and, right?
Okay, example.
Why you seem to have sprouted wings on your back?
And I also got fins on little wings on my ankles over here, so that I can run faster.
Right, so you can run faster and you can fly as well. So that's good.
And I'm going to power myself up with some engines too, so that I could carry you along if you needed to fly.
Well, thank you. I have these hooks on my back, so I can hook myself up to you.
Right, and we'll also have the cameraman go with us.
Yes, we can.
I'm sure you shoot in space.
Yes, your wings look strong enough to do
that. Is that good?
That's all it is. I mean, that is in its barest form. That's just yes and. And that's not really a show.
Yeah.
But that's the principle.
So
Just
I
keep
wasn't
agreeing.
flawed when I
No.
came back with something weird as I got fins
No.
on my
That's-
wings on my.
That's because, in fact, instinctively, because
Yeah.
I gave you a ridiculous offer that
Yeah.
you have wings, you came back, your yes and was a ridiculous offer
It
too.
sounded like wings.
Yes.
Right,
So it's really that. It doesn't even have to be that elaborate. I just gave
Yeah.
an extreme example so that you can see.
Hmm.
But it's just a matter of saying, oh, hey, you look really good today.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, and I look much better because I'm in your presence.
something like
Is
that.
that good? Is it
And
good?
that kind of works in a real life scenario as well, because life is not scripted.
Right.
So you're always going to have to be adjusting to people, and it's much better. You'll find that people will trust you more if you agree with them.
So is trust then one of the factors
It's a main.
or the outcomes of improv?
Yes, it's you need trust or it won't work. Because I'm creating a scene with you, and I don't know what you're going to offer me, I don't trust you to give me back what I'm giving you, then I will be worried about, okay, what's he going to say, rather than building this reality that we've created together. So there has to be trust.
So you gave
Absolutely.
me two very important things coming from improv. Number one, you gave me synergy with the yes and principle.
Yes.
That means constructivism.
Yes.
Yes and you've given me trust.
Yes.
How does that relate to your business and your life? And how do you take it out of the stage and apply it to the real world, Joel? Have there been instances?
I think that there's very little in this world that is not improved by the principles of improv.
Explain that.
Let's say, like, you're driving in traffic,
Yeah.
and you were supposed to arrive at a place at a certain time, and you're late. So you didn't expect that. You were expecting to be on time.
Yeah.
So you can sit there and be annoyed.
You can curse the
You
world.
can curse
Yeah,
the world,
yeah,
or you can just go with it.
yeah.
You know, you just keep, okay, I accept this, and I have to make the best of it. So it's really, at its core, it's probably a positive attitude is what it is.
It's also adaptability to change.
Yes, because if you have a positive attitude, then you can adapt to anything.
Right.
You can take whatever
the worst scenario in the world, the worst circumstance.
So that's how it works, and not just in business. That's for life.
Right.
Because life will throw curves at you all the time, and you just have to. It's not like you have a choice.
Yeah.
Your choice is to make the best of it or to complain. Only one of those things is constructive.
Now on stage, and sometimes maybe in front of the cameras, whenever you do shows, no, you also need to come up with ideas, show after show after show after show. Because I'm sure that whatever techniques or tactics you apply for one show, even though the script remaining the same, they don't apply for the next one.
You're talking about scripted shows.
Scripted shows, yeah.
It's not. I don't think that I consciously have like tactics, as you say, or strategies.
Yeah.
Depending on what the audience is offering me, it's
Yeah.
just you have the script, but within that script that you've rehearsed for like a month or 2 months. Within that script, there's still room for interpretation.
Correct.
So, for example, if it's a scene that we're doing together,
Yeah.
and I come to you, and that day you're like depressed or something, you had a bad day.
I'm depressed, yeah.
let's
I
say.
didn't get good breakfast. Yeah.
Right, you come in,
Yeah.
and normally you come in and your line is you're supposed to yell at me
Yeah.
and say, why did you do that?
Why did you do that?
Right,
Yeah.
and then, but that day you're a little bit depressed, so you say like,
Why did you do that?
I will have to react to that with my same line.
Right.
I can't change the line. But if your line is, why'd you do that? I'll say, well, I did it because I had to. If you say, why did you do that? I'm like,
So you have to match me. You have to match me and lift me up.
Yes,
and bring me back.
And that there's an element of trust there.
Right.
Because if you give me that, you have to trust that I'll react in a suitable manner.
Right.
There's an element of teamwork there.
Right.
There's an element of active listening. Because if I'm not listening, and you come to me with a different line interpretation, and I come to you with the same line interpretation from another show, the audience will say, what was that?
What is that
Doesn't
all
look
about?
real. It'll take you away
seems
from
kind
it.
of
It's
offbeat,
off.
yeah.
And most audiences won't even notice that. They won't know why. They'll just notice that something's wrong.
Yeah.
So
Can this be taken to the business scenario? For example, you and I are colleagues, and you're my manager, and I'm not having a great day. Yeah, I walk in, and I'm your best top salesperson, and things are not working well for me. So you think that I could employ the same techniques that you did?
Absolutely.
And how would I go about it?
If you would stick to the script, for example, if you've rehearsed this script,
Right.
then let's say you have your turn and then I have my turn. I noticed that your energy is low, maybe. When I come in, I up the energy a little bit to compensate for yours. So, because when a speaker has low energy, it affects the entire room.
Yeah.
So I would feel that. I would see what is going on with you. I would be listening to you actively, and then come in with more energy.
Yeah.
And but same script.
So you'll assess the situation.
Yes.
You'll assess things other than the script, and then try to juggle those.
Yes.
Is that what you would do?
Maybe perhaps have a different attack. So if maybe because you were, for example, having a bad day, I would be a little bit more upbeat, not just more energy, but I would not give just more energy, but maybe make it lighter.
So in effect, Joel, I'm leading you in a certain way.
Yes.
In a very subtle and a soft way. I'm creating change for you.
The beauty of improv is that you're leading each other.
Constantly.
Yes,
So
it's not, I'm not the leader. You're not the leader. We're both leaders, and we're both leading each other. We're both propping each other up to get the best outcome.
And if there are more than one, if there are 100 people in the room, then it's teamwork.
Yes. Anytime it's more than one person, you already have the teamwork.
So here I am. I'm depressed as a host. Yeah, I'm not doing good. I'm blabbering, and I have no attention. How would you like prop me up? Is there a game you'd play? Is there something you'd do? Is there a scripted game you'd play and say, Raju, wake up?
I haven't thought of that, but I'm sure there are. I just haven't thought of it now. But I wouldn't even have to play a game. I would just sense your energy.
Yeah.
And maybe lead you.
Yeah.
Let's say, yeah, what do you think of that, or something?
Right,
It's really just constant adjustment and trying to get the best possible outcome with what you've got.
Can you also do fun on demand? Can you also like create fun or humor, or is that possible?
Yeah, it is possible.
Through improv, or
the way you would do that with improvisation is you set the rules, set some kind of arbitrary rules, and you follow them. Then the humor comes from the struggle. You know, I'll give you an example. It's kind of difficult to explain.
Yeah.
We have this game that we play with in Spit called disembowelment fairy tale. Disembowelment. Not disembowelment, but disembowelment fairy tale. And vowelment, yes.
Vowel, that's like UVW.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we would do is, as we play it, we would ask the audience, okay, we're going to give you a fairy tale. We're going to explain a fairy tale to you. We're going to tell you a fairy tale.
Cinderella.
Let's say Cinderella.
Yeah.
And then we'll ask the audience, give us a vowel, A, E, I, O, or not you, because you is too easy, A, E, I, or O, and you tell the story of Cinderella without that vowel. What vowel would you exclude?
Out of I, E, A, O?
Yes.
What would I
exclude? Exclude.
I?
I.
Okay.
Okay, so then that would be my performance, I would say. Once upon a
time.
You can't say time because it's I.
Once upon a time.
No, it has to be words.
Okay.
So I would say, once upon a long ago, there was a woman named Ella, for short.
Yeah.
She had a bad mother. See, so this is just an example, but
I get
I'm avoiding the letter I.
No, I see what you're doing there. You are struggling to create ideas inside your head, given that the resources that you have become less.
Yes.
So from the business perspective, coming from where I am, that's resource management. That means living and making the most out of what you have. So you take away an element of your business, say you take away finances, and you are supposed to make do
somehow.
So that's the science behind improv, and that's how you relate it to innovation.
Yes. Now, continue, please.
No, sorry. I want to ask you, now you're going into business, Joel, with these principles and this wisdom of improv behind you, and you're starting Upstart Productions.
Yes.
Is it right? You want to tell us what you'll bring from the School of Acting and Improv to your business?
I want to bring this discipline of innovation. I want to bring the drive, the can-do attitude, because as I said, improv is really just a
yes and,
which is really just a positive attitude.
Yeah.
Upstart is just me, my wife, and a few silent partners.
Yeah.
But we're like, okay, we're gonna do this original musical. No one's ever heard of it.
Right.
Something that I wrote. There are no stars in this show. We'll find the funding on our own. We'll just do it. It was just, we want to do this. We don't have any idea how to do it, but we're gonna do it.
Right.
So that's what I want to bring to Upstart, and it worked. We did it. It was a success. We are working on our second and third shows now, and that's what I want to bring, the whole yes and attitude. Just do it. You know, what's the alternative?
I have a say about that. The fact that you said that you don't have any idea on how to do this. Of course you have all the ideas.
No, well,
you are the improv guys. You are the
no, I think what I mean is I'm not really a business person.
Right.
I've been an artist my entire life.
Yeah.
So, like, I had no idea how to put up my own show. I just know how to act, direct, write. So what do? What did I do? I hired a production manager. This girl knows everything, so she gave me what it would cost. So step by step, okay, this is the money that we need. What do? I have to find the money, find sponsors. I'm not a marketing person, so I hired marketing people. Although I did do most of the marketing for Breakups and Breakdowns myself. I just
you had to,
I sort of learned it.
Yeah. On the go.
It's that whole attitude of I don't really know what I'm doing, but I want to figure it out. That I would like to bring to my company. And I think that benefits everybody, that kind of thing, rather than, no, it can't be done. No, find a way.
Find a way. But that's what improv is all about.
Right,
that's
exactly.
what innovation is all
exactly.
about.
If
find a
you
way.
want it badly enough, you'll find a way.
So is there something else that drives you besides the skill of improv and the fact that you have to innovate? Is there something else that drives you as an actor, a business person, or a creative person? Because business is creation.
Okay, in broadest terms, what drives me is immortality.
How is
I
that?
want to be immortal through my work. This is a very, very big deal to me. It sounds like a joke, but it's true. I want...
It doesn't sound like a joke to me. It sounds really beautiful.
50 years from now, people will know, oh, this is a Joel Trinidad play. Oh, 50 years from now, people will say, I remember this actor, Joel Trinidad. He was very good. Something like that. Just to make my mark on the world, a mark that will last long after I'm gone. That's what drives me.
Joel, I gotta put my 2 cents worth in here. No? I saw you on Caveman. In Defense of the Caveman. Is that
Defending the Caveman.
Defending the Caveman. And I thought you were brilliant out there.
Oh,
you
thank
were
you.
strong. You were awesome, and you were flawless.
Thank
for
you.
75 minutes of stage. And here you talk about immortality and about little things that you do. There you had goals to fulfill. You had to run from one spot to another and say something, sing here, dance here, crack a joke, and manage the whole thing. That was a lot of managing resources and goal setting. So my question from that perspective, having seen you succeed with Defending the Caveman and having seen you achieve the small tasks and goals, if you want immortality, you probably have a plan inside of you.
I just want to keep doing good work, and the plan is I'll do it one show at a time if I have to.
That's the plan, yeah.
Yeah, do good work, and then the next show I do will build on the success of the first one.
You'll improve
yes,
it.
improve, and that's my plan.
Yeah.
Each show, you're only as good as your last performance.
Yeah.
So each show has to be better than the previous one. And if that's a plan, then that's my plan.
Joe, one more break,
Sure.
and we'll come back and talk to you about Breakups and Breakdowns, and then Chaos, which you have written. Is that right? So we'll take that break, and we'll come back and talk to Joel Trinidad. We are still talking to Joel Trinidad, of course, on the subject matter of improv and innovation in acting and business. So stay with us. I'm your host, Raju. Welcome back to Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhan. We're still with Joel Trinidad, the actor, the playwright, and now a businessman. So he has so far told us about the insights on improv, and we'll wrap up with what he's doing currently with Expat Productions. Joel, tell me now, you did mention that you're bringing in some of the skills and the principles that you learned from the School of Improv to your business, no? How is Breakups and Breakdowns, is that the correct name?
Yeah, that's the title.
How's it doing commercially? How did it do commercially?
We did 12 shows.
Yeah.
And we had modest success with that. It could have been a little bit better, but everybody who watched the show really liked it. We got written up very well. Commercially, we didn't lose money. But we could, of course, any business venture could have made more money. I wish we could have made. It's just that it's very difficult to market a show that no one's ever heard of. But
and this was totally written by you?
I wrote the lyrics, the book and the lyrics. The music.
The book and the lyrics? There's a book behind it?
Well, that's what they call
the script.
The script in theater terms. So the book and the lyrics and the music. I hired somebody to compose the music because I don't write music.
Yeah, but you do sing.
Yes,
Okay.
I was in the show.
Yeah.
I wrote it, I directed it, I produced it, I acted in it, I did the marketing for it, I wrote the radio ad, I voiced the radio ad.
Wow.
I I did almost everything for that thing. It was a struggle, but I'm glad I did it. And it's out there. So even though it's an original work and it was difficult to market, it's done. So I can point to it now and say, okay, this is what
Your first success.
Yes, and so I can again build on that. And let's see what happens.
I have 3 questions to you from that. Number 1, I want to go back into history a bit because I used to be quite active watching repertory when Zenaida Amador was still around.
Oh yes, the late great Zenaida Amador.
Yeah. And one time I went to audition, she threw me out. And even those days, with the wonderful plays that they used to write, they still used to have financial challenges.
Yes, of course.
And the business of theater is such that you always have financial challenges.
Yes.
No? That's one. The second question on my mind is that what would you do better the next time around to be able to hit your financial goals? Now that you're coming from the 5 or 6 things that we've learned from Improv and Innovation, what would you do better?
I would have more preparation.
In terms of
marketing?
Content, design?
No, because I think the material was okay. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I would have prepared more in terms of marketing. It's really about the money. Because if I had more sponsors, for example, I could have reached a wider audience. I could have, if I had more financial backing, I could have had more shows.
Well, you're talking from where I'm coming from, you're talking of a bigger strategy, a bigger
Yes.
marketing strategy. That means you have a product that's beautiful already, and you know it as the creator of the product, and you've designed it well, but you didn't make a lot of people hear about it.
It was very difficult. Yes, it was a big
so,
challenge.
What exact steps would you do? I mean, sponsoring is one.
Yes.
Advertising, or I don't know, what would you do?
I would perhaps, again, to do with money, I would have spent more money on the marketing.
Yeah.
On the marketing people, for example, getting more
The
marketing
right
people.
partners.
Yeah. Well, my marketing people were very good. The disadvantage of my marketing people for Breakups and Breakdowns was that they were theater people as well. Performers.
Sensitive and creative.
Well, the sensitive is no problem because when business is business. When
I mean sensitive, I mean it in the positive sense.
Right.
I don't mean
okay.
touchy.
Yeah. So the thing is, in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, this is great," because these people understand the business. They're all performers. They know. They have the drive.
Yeah.
But the disadvantage was when they had their own shows, they would have to attend to their own shows. So they would leave my show behind. So what I would do differently is hire marketing people who are just marketing
Somebody
people.
who would be able to give it 100% professionally. Okay.
And I don't blame them because, you know, when you're doing a show, that's your whole life. I get that. But that's not really ideal. That was not ideal for my purposes. That's the main thing I would do differently. But again, with enough financial backing, with enough investors, I would have been able to do that. So it really boils down to the preparation for the show, which equals money mostly.
All right, now tell us about Kaos.
Okay.
Kaos is something you've written.
Yes, Kaos is performing now until May 28th at the Newport Performing Arts Theater in Resorts World.
By the airport.
Yes, across Naive 3. And it's a Vegas meets Broadway extravaganza. It's a huge show. You should see it. We've got 100 people in the cast. 50 of those people are from other countries. The countries represented are Belarus, Ukraine, Spain, Mexico, Brazil. It's a huge show. We've got acrobats from China. We've got tigers from this Spanish guy, this magician. We have magic.
It's not Cirque du Soleil.
No, that's a different company. This Kaos is an original musical produced by the people at Resorts World, and I just happened to write the script. So I was commissioned to write that script. I was given the story outline.
It seems like a big script. It's spectacular.
Yeah, because it was, you know, people have seen Vegas shows.
Yeah.
You know, with the acrobats and the daredevils, right?
Yeah.
And people have seen Broadway shows. This is the first time, at least in this country, that they've done both.
Wow.
So I was given a story outline. I was given the song choices, the songs for the show, and I just fleshed out the characters. I wrote the dialogue. I gave everyone punchlines and personalities and stuff like that.
When does it show? And
it shows every...
Who finances it? This is not Upstart Production.
No. I was hired as an independent writer
yeah.
for the thing. But it's It runs every Wednesday, Wednesdays to Sundays. So Wednesday at 8 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., Friday at 9 p.m., Saturday at 3 and 9, and Sunday at 3.
Which is today, 3 and 9 today, okay.
Yeah. So all those days until...
Are you acting and singing?
Yes, I'm the lead in it, actually. I'm the lead bad guy. I spend more time on stage than anybody else.
Oh.
I'm maybe on stage 80% of the time. I have the most lines.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one who can talk to the audience.
Yeah.
And it's nice. I'm a bad guy, so I get to like...
Do you like being a bad guy or a good guy?
Oh, absolutely. You know,
I love being a bad guy.
The bad guy roles are the best because you can really cut loose and have fun.
Yeah.
And before I shaved my head, I never got bad guy roles.
Is
never.
this for the role or this is
No, this is genetics. I was losing my hair, so I just shaved it all off. Now that I'm bald,
yeah,
it's great that I get bad guy roles more often.
Joel, Defending the Caveman was 75 minutes from where I was watching. It was a one-man show, a monologue, no? And I saw you memorize the stuff, the movements and the actions, the gestures, the timing, the pausing. I don't know if you did the lights and the tables and the furniture. How, in heaven's name, were you able to do those 75 minutes? What's your technique? How many hours did you spend? Whatever is your technique, whether it was time or...
It's, you know what, it's just the biggest hurdle in that show, which we're doing again, by the way. We're doing another run of it starting May 6th this year.
Lovely. I want to be the first one to watch it. May 6th,
that's next week. Yeah.
And you'll not have finished Chaos by that time?
I have an understudy who will be
taking over Chaos
while I'm doing Caveman.
Okay.
So the biggest hurdle, as I was saying, for Defending the Caveman was the script. I mean, it's something like 35 pages, single-spaced. It's a 35-page monologue.
35 pages.
That took me about 2 weeks to memorize.
70,000 words.
Oh, what, you computed?
Approximately,
okay.
yeah. So yeah, I'm an Indian. I do numbers in my head.
So, excuse me. So, that was the biggest challenge, memorizing it. But once I memorized it, I was of course guided along by my two directors, Michael Williams and Kathy Azanzadi.
Yeah.
It wasn't all me. I mean, I went there and I knew the lines, and I would do the thing, and they'd say, no, you have to do it this way, or you have to say it when you pretend to be a woman. You have to say it like this, and so I was guided by them, and that was a struggle in itself, because it's a very difficult show to do well, because you have both perspectives, male and female.
Right, right.
And it's supposed to be equal. But since I'm a man, it tends to skew more to the men.
Right.
So we had to really balance it so that when I would make fun of the women, it didn't look insulting. You know, it was a very, very...
It didn't look bastos in Tagalog.
Yeah, right. So that was the second challenge, which was in some ways even more difficult than the memorizing, because I have a very good memory.
Question here about memorizing. Number one is, to become a good actor, I've never been an actor to understand it, you need to really memorize a lot.
Yes.
Then you need to internalize them.
Yes.
Then you need to live them, emote them.
Yes, although 2 and 3 would probably be at the same time.
At the same time,
yes.
no? So when you're doing 2 or 3 plays at the same time, and those are different subject matters, different storylines, etc., how do you box these memories? What's your technique? Do you like open the fridge and read out loud? Do you go to the bathroom? Or you lie down in bed and you just read the script again and again? What's your memorization technique?
What I do is I record my lines.
And you play them back?
Yes, I record my lines with no inflection. So, and then I record also my cues. So the lines of my co-actors, I record them as well. But I record my cues softly, and then my volume for my own lines loud.
A bit louder.
Because you have to know your cues, so you have to know when to come in. But and this is very important, I do it without inflection. So if your line is, I've come here today because I want to kill you. I won't memorize it like, I've come here today because I want to kill you.
So
because
you do it flat.
Flat, so that I infuse the meaning as I say it for the show.
Right, because then that's where the improv comes in.
Right. So I don't, you know, this is what I do. I don't know if it's ideal for everybody. This is what I do. I find it very effective because I can listen to my lines in the gym. I'm in the gym like 6 times a week when I'm driving. So it's very, I find it very, very efficient to memorize lines that way. Very, very effective. I hardly miss lines.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Well, folks, if you've not seen Defending the Caveman, and if you are a man or a wannabe, You should go see this one. It's really beautiful.
Also, if you're a woman. If you're a woman.
If you're a woman, I'm kidding. And where will this be?
On the Carlos Palanca Auditorium,
RCBC.
Yes, that's May 6, 7. 6 plus 7 is 13, 14, and then 20 and 21 at 8 p.m.
Wow, we don't have those things, but if you have a number or a website, just look up Joel Trinidad on Facebook, you'll find
Facebook, Defending the Caveman, Philippines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Joel, now to close this interview, you give me 5 things for improvisation to innovation. You give me trust, you give me speed as a keyword, you've given me teamwork, you've given me goal setting with your vision of being immortal, and of course you've given me managing resources. Is there anything you want to add to this, to the subject matter of improvisation and innovation?
I'd like to say that it's, although we have discussed a lot, we've talked for over almost an hour about all these different techniques and all these different strategies. It's really simple. It's very, very simple. It's just yes and. And if you don't want to talk in technical terms, it's just being positive.
It's just building on.
Yeah,
just
being positive.
Just living and building and synergizing.
Yes, because I think if you have a positive attitude, then you can build, you can synergize, you can make the most of your resources, you can manage time.
Set goals,
it's all there.
People.
And this is not just for performance. It's not just for business. It's a life attitude.
So it's innovation for life.
Yes.
So it's really growth in life. Joel, this interview is over from where I am. If there's anything that you think I might have missed asking you, this is your moment. And you already told me how you want to be remembered, so that's fine. Is there anything you want to say?
Well, I do have, Upstart Productions does have 3 shows lined up for the rest of the 2011-2012 season. The next show is going to be Much Ado About Nothing. My own take on it, yes. It's going to be a school tour of Much Ado About Nothing, contemporary version.
I've seen Shakespeare in the Park in New York.
Have you? I haven't. Oh,
it's
I would
beautiful.
love
to see
classy.
It's free.
Yeah, I know.
Summertime,
see that. I'm never in New York in the summer. I'm always there in the winter for some reason. So that's Much Ado About Nothing. That starts in August. We're touring it around schools. Following that in October, we're doing Fairy Tale Rescue, which I mentioned earlier, which is an original musical by me and O'Neill Torres. For children. It's children's schools.
Lovely.
And then in May, Upstart has its 2nd major musical, which is Forbidden Broadway, which is the longest running musical review in the history of New York. It's very, very funny. It spoofs all the current and past Broadway hits like, you know, Les Mis, Phantom, Mamma Mia, Rent. It's all there. One of the funniest shows I've ever seen. I've seen the show like four times. And we're doing it for the first time in the Philippines in May.
Godspeed and God bless. Good luck.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being on Expat Inside. It was wonderful.
I had a great time.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Joel Trinidad, and I'm your host, Raju Mandhan. This has been Expat Insights. Next week on Expat Insights, we'll have 2 gentlemen from Singapore, and we'll be talking about stem cell research. Good night and mabuhay. Salamat po.